questions. Yeah, you guys got some questions for him? Okay, awesome. Bear with me, this one's a little bit long. I want to give a little bit of a backstory for this. So, if I'm not mistaken here, there's a special one-shot for Death Note, a standalone that was written that sees the return of Ryuk to the human world. And it's set 10 years after the events of Kira that puts Ryuk offering the Death Note to a middle school student that's said to be just as smart as Light. There's also a prequel novel that follows the potential successor to Mello during his time working with the FBI tracking a serial killer. Then, in my many times looking through random YouTube comments and talking amongst fellow Death Note fans, I've seen several people say how interesting it would be if a season had some sort of focus on maybe Light coming back as a Shinigami himself. And how that would work and what that precisely entails is a topic for another day, unless Brad has some ideas. But here we have 3 possibilities for adaptations for a continuation of Death Note within anime. And Death Note wrapped up its 37 episodes beautifully, am I right? You know, taking nothing away from that, of course. If the 3 of you were approached to reprise your roles in some way, shape, or form, if it made sense, is that something that you'd be interested in?
In a heartbeat. As soon as they do the Duffer Brothers, we're going to start making a Death Note series, and I love Stranger Things. It's really fun. I sent a tweet out, hey guys, so the Duffer Brothers, you need a voice for Ryu?
Haven't heard back yet.
Haven't heard back yet, no.
I mean, I would be, it's like you said, it was so well done.
Very well done.
I would have trepidation about doing it, but I would also have a lot of enthusiasm. Like I would be into it. I would just be, I'd be worried. I wouldn't want them to
Understandable.
frack up the mythology of the show. But I do think, I just had this idea today, and I'm sure other people have had it. I think an L prequel, like origin story. Yes. I think that would be like, you know, like in the orphanage for young detectives with Watari and like growing up and see where he came from. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yes, I agree, definitely.
And I could play him young too. I could just sort of.
Brad, what are your thoughts on all of that?
I mean, well, of course, yeah. Like, if anybody asked me to do anything, I'd say yes, and then I'd, put on a brave face and go, "Well, what's the subject matter?" But what AJ was saying, I agree with to some degree, right? I mean, I'm a Star Wars fan. I don't know if there's any Star Wars fans. So, and I'm not one of those purists where I'll say like, it's original trilogy or nothing. My thought is, if I can get lots and lots of Star Wars out there, that means more Star Wars for me. If I don't like something that they've made, I don't have to watch it. But I get things like Mandalorian. And if we were like so stubborn about, tarnishing the idea of the original, then we would have never had the ability to get something like The Mandalorian. And when you get the right people involved on a project that we have passions about, you can have wondrous results. The flip side of that is you can have something that's complete garbage, which we've seen quite a bit come from amazing anime properties, where it tries to get turned into something different and just doesn't work. But, we should keep trying this and failing until we have ultimate success.
One of you guys out there need to write it, like you guys, all you fans, you guys need to be the ones. One of you go to screenwriting school and do it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, awesome, man. That's enough of my questions. I definitely, I want to hear what other people, other fans, everybody else out here has to say about, go ahead and come on up and have somebody moderate this. Yeah, go ahead and feel free.
Fire away as soon as you're up there. We'll get through as many as we can.
Hi.
Hi.
So I was wondering if the Death Note was real, and if you had it, would you use it? And if so, who? And it can be fictional.
Will I use the Death Note? No. I would want to. Pretty bad, and there's a few names I could throw out there, but no, I wouldn't. They'd be like, I'd put the first name, the initial, most of the last name, and then stop. I couldn't purposely,
Had I not seen the series, I would have grabbed it and been psyched. But I think my initial reaction would be like, oh yeah, what? No, This is a slippery slope that ends very, very downhill.
There is a cost.
Yeah, there is a cost.
That is a great question.
But yes, it does exist, and I have it at home.
They let you keep it.
Hey guys, my question is, have you guys seen or know about the Simpsons' recent Death Note parody, which I thought was super brilliant?
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't catch it on the night before Halloween when it was on, but I watched it the day after because I recorded it, and I loved it. It's so exciting to me to see, with the Duffer Brothers going to be doing a show, and then the Simpsons, of all the choices of horror-based anime that they could do one of their Halloween specials with, they chose Death Note. It's amazing to me. These are like the highest echelon of animators on the planet. Is the biggest series ever is The Simpsons. To see them make that choice was wonderful, and it's hard to cram 37 episodes into 7 minutes with Lisa as Light, but I loved it. It was cool.
Yeah, it's nice when people you admire have clearly seen or heard your work, right? It's sort of nice crossover feeling.
Yeah.
And it's funny that didn't happen 10 years ago. That it happened this year, and it's super relevant. And that means, that's amazing that there's been a resurgence of this series enough that the Simpsons are like, well, we should have done it 10 years ago, we can do it now.
Yeah.
And they did a great job. And the fact that they even, farmed out the animation for it to give it a very specific look. And that's fun for me, right? I like looking at what Homer looks like in a more anime style, and Marge and, all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's amazing.
Great, good question. Thank you.
Thank you, but I just want to quickly add on, they kind of did in the 2000s, but in the comics version, Bart was Light actually, and Ralph was L, and Krusty was Ryuk.
In a comic version.
Yeah, in a comic
Krusty's a
version.
good Ryuk.
Yeah, Krusty would be a great Ryuk. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is funny that it's 16 years later and they decided to do it. You're right. It still shows how impactful and relevant
Absolutely.
Death Note actually is. Let's go ahead and thank you for that question, and I appreciate that. Let's get the next one going.
Hi, my name is Ace, but I have a question completely unrelated to Death Note. Can I ask?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Is it random?
We might not answer it.
Your name is Ace?
Yeah.
Go ahead, can you
That's
step
my
to the mic a little bit more?
character, so
Can you hear me better?
of course
Yeah,
you can ask your question.
So my question is, what is your thoughts on Elvis Presley, and what is your favorite song?
Thoughts on Elvis Presley, one of the greatest.
The only reason why I asked that is because I remember Allison Giuliani doing something in Smallville related to
I did go full Elvis in Smallville. As Emil Hamilton, there was this wacky episode where we all went crazy and did things that were totally out of character. And it turned out that I was an Elvis impersonator in the full jumpsuit with the full pompadour hair. And I got to sing, it had to be an original song because I couldn't get rights to an Elvis song. I had to sing an original song with Cassidy Freeman, who played Tess on it. Anyway, that was a hoot. But the question was, what's my favorite Elvis song? Was that the question?
Yeah.
Sort of? Suspicious Minds, I think.
That's a good answer. Full band, lots of horns.
Love it.
Good answer. Right?
Beautiful.
Good question. Are we supposed to go ahead?
I don't know, do you have an Elvis song?
A favorite Elvis? How do you pick favorites? With Christmas coming along, Yeah. I think as a kid, I remember Elvis the most because my family loved Elvis, and that's where I feel like he was in part of my life the most was when I was young, and it would have been Blue Suede Shoes.
Yeah, that's a good answer. This is a very interesting question for me. I know it wasn't for me, but I'm taking it over. I'm an Elvis guy. My mom, Elvis girl. My dad, Beatles guy. The two of them together, Kenny and Dolly. So that's how I grew up. So I'm an Elvis guy. So like you say, what's your favorite Elvis song? What's my favorite genre of Elvis? There's early Blazer Elvis, lesser band, but then there's also 70s Vegas Elvis with incredible music and big old band. So that's tough. Suspicious Mind's a good guess. I'll pick, Pardon me if I'm sentimental. A Fool's Itch's Eye. I'm gonna pick.
He sings too, ladies and gentlemen. He sings too.
I could do his whole catalog right now, but that's not what this is about.
Next con. Elvis con.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh my god, I'm shaking, but I love you guys. I just want to say before I ask my question, I love you guys, and you guys are perfect cast, perfect cast. I love you guys so much. But yeah, woo! But My question is, so anytime you're in public, has anyone ever recognized you just by listening to your voice? Like, whether it's a Death Note character or any other character, have they ever recognized you? Because just off the bat, I can totally, like, especially, Light and L, I can just hear it when you speak.
Yeah.
No, I am quite a character actor, so I play a lot of voices that are not necessarily sitting right where my own voice sits. It might be that way for like Aiden Avalon from Card Captors or Vision of Escaflowne. I played Alan Shazar. So there's certain ones that sort of sit in my vocal range, but not that many. It's usually villains and characters that just don't sound like how I speak. So it's never happened to me. A very good friend of mine, a phenomenal performer, Vincent Tong, voice actor. The first time that ever happened to him, he was in Disneyland on Grizzly River Run. And he was talking with his buddy, or his wife or friend, and there was a girl sitting across from him that just froze and was staring at him. He plays the lead character in Ninjago. Yes. Kai. And this girl was just, and she's like, "Are you Kai from Ninjago?" And he was like so excited. First time in my life, someone recognized my voice. It's never happened to me, but that's what he sounds like in real life. So he was picked out on the middle of a Grizzly River Run ride, and I love that story. But it's not happened to me.
I've weirdly never been recognized for L, but I was recognized once for playing a prince in a Barbie movie. Yes.
Oh my god,
I was singing in a show, I was singing in a musical, and this girl, about your age, stayed after the show, and I thought, oh, that's nice, she liked the show a lot, or, and probably she did too, but she was just fully fangirling because I was Prince Julian from
I literally brought a Princess and the Pauper DVD, and I wanted to ask you to sign it later. And the Death Note.
Love it. Well, light and dark. There you go. That's like.
Did you have to tell us how often you're wandering around and people go up, I love your work, Taika Waititi, you're so... Gets out of a lot.
Only in the summer.
Ragnarok was amazing. Yeah. You're like, okay, thank you.
Yes, it's mostly in the summer when I'm tanned. I get the Taika Waititi sightings these days for sure. It's a phase, whatever. One day he'll be recognized as me, right?
Thank you. Can you say piss off ghost?
Piss off ghost?
Yes. Amazing. I got recognized once. This is a very quick story. I was at some anime shop kind of near Vancouver, and I was buying something, and I got recognized when they ran my credit card.
Oh my god.
It was hilarious. So I'm like,
I'm sorry, so your card was declined?
Yeah, it was declined, and then they said, you're not. I'm like, yeah, so things aren't going so well for you? No, not so much. But I got the opposite of recognized in an elevator at one point. You asked, what's the opposite of being recognized? Let me tell you. So this was a convention, and we hadn't done opening ceremonies yet, and I was on an elevator, and this, a reasonably young guy came in, and so I was just being nice. I'm like, hello, how you doing? He's like, good, man, cool. I'm like, and he was like just kind of all jacked up. I'm like, you excited? He's like, yeah, super excited about the show. I'm like, yeah, what's the thing you're looking most forward to? Gonna meet the voice actor of Light from Death Note. And I'm like, ha ha ha. Well, you just did. And he's kind of on his phone, he's like, all right, man, cool, see ya. And I'm like, oh. So then I went to the opening ceremonies, and I told that story, and next thing I know, there's somebody standing up way at the back.
That was me!
Like, it was my friend. I called him. He's freaking out. And I'm like, oh, okay, I got recognized. Eventually.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Let's go ahead and get to the next question.
Hi, I just want to say, like everyone else, thank you guys so much for being here. You guys just brought so much, life to these characters, and I love that. Oh, and death. It's a little dark, but, overall it's really great. My question for all three of you is, what is your process to find that voice for your individual characters? Like for you, Brad, Light is just this entitled punk that you want to succeed, but yet at the same time you don't. Brian, Ryuk is just this troublemaker that just has that laugh. He's just that voice, that little devil that's just on your shoulder. And Alessandro, L is just this quiet, eccentric genius that loves snacks all the time. So again, just that process of how do you find that voice for your characters?
Good question, how to answer. You know, because mine, I saw it 2 minutes before I walked in. I loved an image first. They don't give us images that often in advance anymore because they don't want things to get disseminated. But if I see an image, I want to feel it in my body so I can just see a face and right away I see gravelly, like otherworldly sounds. And then when they played the ref for me, they said we don't want a voice match, but he does have this laugh. So, and the laugh was really sort of, it had this coughy, growly sound from the great Japanese performer. That's where it sort of came from. So I love to see an image, age, you know, relationship, that type of stuff. And usually I'll just go through the old Rolodex of characters in my mind and just find something and start to piece it together from there.
Yeah, I mean, with Elle, I didn't see an image of him beforehand, but when I auditioned, I remember, you know, it's sort of just dumb luck, right? You sort of take a stab at it, and for whatever reason, it was the one that they wanted. I knew that he should be quiet and methodical, and so I got very close to the mic and sort of articulated very clearly. He was intelligent. There was a description of him, but it wasn't, you know. Sometimes it's just synergy, and it's just the luck of the right performer and the right role at the right time, which for Elle feels like that was the deal.
For me,
are you an entitled prick? Yeah, I guess you are.
It was just typecast.
It was just.
Thank you.
Let's just give it to Brad. Yeah.
I mean, I recorded a number of anime series, and it didn't really matter the different for a time, the different characters that I would read for. I would almost always be cast for kind of the young heroic lead type guy. So I had done that voice before on several different things. Now it's maybe youngered up or a bit more energy or whatever, or modified a little bit for the show. But that's essentially kind of what this one was too. But then there was an attitude that kind of developed during the course of the show that really let me play with that a little bit. Where it was almost, you know, two different personalities kind of living within the same body. And so sometimes, depending on who he's talking to, if it's his sister or his father or whatever, he would sound a certain way. And then when he turns away and there's like an aside in his head, then suddenly it's what his inside voice sounds like. So that was kind of just really led by the visuals and the dialogue and just the progression of the show. And what came out. It wasn't too premeditated. Except for maybe certain scenes towards the end of the series where I was really nervous about how they're going to turn out and maybe over-prepared.
Good question. We'll try and bang through fast answers for this drawing line. Yeah. Fire away. Yeah, we'll do it.
Okay, I'll try. Hi, my name is Jessica, and I just want to say that Death Note was the first anime I ever watched after I knew what anime was. Because I thought, you know, cartoons were just cartoons. It was the first anime I watched in English. And I love the voice acting and just like watching Ryuk, Eli, even Misa just on the screen. And I just want to say thank you for all the whole work that you guys have done and all the energy you guys put into your characters as well. So my question is, if you could be any other current anime or ongoing series now, which one will you be in?
That's a good question.
Which has the most episodes?
Yeah.
Like, if we could be a character in it?
It could be another anime right now.
If you could be not a voice actor, a character inside the anime, which anime would you be in?
I would be Totoro in My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh yeah, it's tough. There's some great shows out there. I never like to pick another actor's part, but you know, to be a part of a show, Attack on Titan is a fabulous series that I love. So if be a part of a show, that would be one I'd probably put on my list. But I'm not going to say that guy's role. No, I don't.
No,
want
like just being an extra character.
Yeah, that's a show that I think is epic. Yeah. Good question.
Great
Thank you
shows.
for
There's
all
so many
that.
great shows. There's a show that I just watched with my kids called Centaur World. Anyone watch that show?
Yes.
That was outrageous. I loved it, and I would be anybody on that show. You should check it out.
Yeah, Central World. It's hilarious.
So good.
Yeah. Thank you. Great question. And thanks for all the praise. It's
Thank you.
much appreciated. All right, he's got the camera going and everything.
Step right up, step right up.
Fire away.
All right, hello. I'm a little nervous, I won't lie. But,
No worries.
My original question was gonna be if you could do your crazy laugh, but then it happened, so I was like, well, all right then. So I guess my new question, I was thinking this whole time, and my question is, can you two do the crazy laugh? Like have an attempt at it?
Great question. Great way to go.
Can I get a horse?
I think I'm out of a job now.
They did it better.
Damn it.
1, 2.
And do you want to show them how it's actually done?
I already did it.
Oh, we heard it. We can't even come close.
I don't want to spit all over the again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate your time. Let's get the next question. We got time for a couple more questions, okay, you guys?
Hi, my name is Rima, and this is just like, okay, a little bit of spoiler, actually a big spoiler, so if you haven't watched it, get out. But, how did you guys